Hi there, Erin Lee here of heavenlymessenger.com. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's Connection with Intention. It's always a pleasure for me to connect with you in this way, and I'm grateful for the time that you're taking out of your day, especially as my notification post that we were going live tonight went out so late. So thank you so much for joining me. We will do mini questions, like mini psychic readings, I should say, in a little bit. So please hold on to your questions. You're more than welcome to say hello. I always love hearing from you guys. And in a couple of minutes, I'm going to ask you to help me choose which crystals we're going to use for the Choose Your Adventure crystal reading. So I'm Erin Lee. I'm a psychic angel card reader. I'm a Reiki master teacher and body code practitioner. I do a lot of different things. I wear a lot of different hats, and I've got lots of different pieces and types of information. So this evening, you're more than welcome to ask me psychic questions about something in particular for yourself, to yourself. I'm not doing anything around mediumship this evening, so I won't be taking questions from people asking to connect with their deceased loved ones. I would really encourage you to talk to a medium for that, and that's not my forte. We'll also do the Choose Your Adventure crystal reading so that everybody has an opportunity to receive a message from the oracle cards and from beyond. And yeah, I think that's about it. So welcome to tonight's show. I've been sitting here asking, what should I talk about in our introduction today? And lots of different things have come up, but nothing has stuck. So we're going to talk a little bit about intuition. And this is something that I've gotten from people for years. When I tell them about what I do, I will say, oh, I'm an intuitive, or I'm a psychic and angel card reader. And they'll say, oh, that's really cool. I couldn't possibly do that. I'm not intuitive at all. And one of the things that I say to that is that everybody is intuitive. Literally everybody possesses intuition. It's just that sometimes we use it in different ways, or we receive messages about different things. So, for example, anybody can play baseball. Some people will decide that, hey, I just want to throw a ball around in the backyard with my kid or with a friend or with a parent, whoever. Other people will say, hey, I want to play on a beer league just for fun, go out, have a good time. Some people will work harder and maybe they'll end up on like a farm team, which is kind of a semi-professional level. And then other people will work really hard and will have lots of talent and lots of ability, and they'll go on and they'll play professional baseball, and they'll do that for years. And the same is true with our intuition. Anybody can go and throw a ball around outside with a friend or a loved one, and everybody has intuition. It all depends on how far you want to go. And I remember I had this conversation with a fellow. If you've been around for a while, you've probably heard it, but it's one of my favorite stories. And, I repeat my stories. So years ago, this was back in 2009, I was at the Body, Soul, and Spirit Expo in Vancouver, and it was at the huge exhibition center there. And this fellow came over to my booth, and we had that very same conversation. I said, anybody and everybody is intuitive. It all depends on how much you're willing to invest in it, how much you're willing to believe in what you're receiving, and to learn and to understand. And I was telling him about the different ways that you can receive intuitive messages. There's clear cognizance, which is clear knowing. There's clairaudience, which is clear hearing. There's clairvoyance, which is clear seeing. And then there's clairsentience, which is clear feeling. And as I was describing it, he stands back and he says to me, well, I work selling some sort of financial product. I don't remember what it is, but that's what he did. He said, I work selling some sort of financial product. And as soon as somebody walks into my office, I know exactly what it is that they need. And he said, in my industry, the closing rate is between 50 and 60%, or 40 and 60%, somewhere in there. And he said, but my closing rate's 98%. And so to me, here's this person who his intentions were in the right place. He said, I really want to help people. And that's where his intuition shone. It wasn't in, what's coming up in your future, or, what do you need to do about this relationship? But it came out in something that he was passionate about. And so if you're saying to me, Erin, I'm not intuitive at all, I would say, look at the things that you love and then tell me that you aren't intuitive, because I can almost guarantee you 100% that there are areas in your life that you are really passionate about and that your intuition really comes to the forefront and it really shines. And so if you're wanting to grow and develop your intuition more, focus on the ways in which you're already receiving intuitive messages, and then recognize that you're receiving them, understand what the message is, and then take action on them. Those are the 3 steps to helping to develop your intuition. So I wanted to have a little quick talk about that. That's what they told me to talk about, so that's what we talked about. I just want to say a quick hello and welcome to everybody who's joined us. Hello, Divya. It's so good to see you. Oh, thank you. Happy blessed new year to you as well. Thanks for joining us. And Becky, hello. It's so good to see you. And Brianne, hello. Tatiana, oh, it's so good to see you. I think I'm talking to you next week. I'm so excited. Hello to Catherine and to Amanda and Cassandra. It's wonderful to see you all. And Leanne, hello. JC, it's good to see you. I'm so glad that you joined us. And Chrissy, hi. It's wonderful to see you all. Thanks for joining us this evening. So I thought that we would get on with our Choose Your Adventure crystal reading early. So I'm going to ask you to choose 1, 2, 3, or 4. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to pop it into the comments, because I have 4 different crystal pictures and I couldn't decide which one, in part because I think I need to take some more pictures. So without thinking about it, I'm going to say the number that pops into your head as soon as I finish. So give me 1, 2, 3, or 4 right now. Put it in the comments. I'm going to give you a second. And this will help us to decide which Choose Your Own Adventure crystal reading crystals we're going to use for the crystal readings. And I know that there's a little bit of a delay, so I'm going to say hello. Oh, you guys are awesome. Look at you go. And hello to Carrie and Leanne. I'm not sure if I got to you the first time. And to Kathy, it's wonderful to see you all. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so you guys are right on it. So I've got 3, 4, 2. That's even 4, 4. So we've got 3 for 4, 2 for 3, 1, 2, 3. I think 4 has got it, my friends. Yeah, we've got it with 4. So thank you. And you know what? This was the last one. This one came up twice for us to use. And the first time I said, oh no, I don't think that's the right one, but I guess it is. So thanks for trusting your intuition, guys. Okay, so the Choose Your Adventure crystal reading. If you haven't been here before, what I'll ask you to do is to think about a question. And you are more than welcome to think about more than one question and choose a different crystal. Or you could say, hey, you know what? I can't choose just one crystal. I'm going to have 2 crystals or 3 crystals. So take a moment, think about a question or more than one question. We're going to take a deep breath and we're just going to touch into our intuition, and we're going to ask, which crystal best represents the answer that I need this evening? Is it malachite, clear quartz, or smoky quartz? So ask, think about your question, and then allow your intuition to guide you to the card that you need. While you're doing that, I'll leave it up just so that you guys have it for a little longer. I'm going to pull a card for each of the crystals. Oops. Sorry about that, Elizabeth. That was a user error on my part. And this card is for the smoky quartz. Okay, wonderful. So, and JC, we'll come to the questions in a moment, but I'm glad that that's the one that you've chosen. Let's see what comes up. So I'm going to pull this down. How do I do that? There we go. Okay, so if you chose the malachite card, I'm going left to right. The card that we have here for you, this is the Archangel Oracle card deck, is Archangel Gabrielle with creative writing. Her message is make time to write down your thoughts in a journal or pen an article or book. So there are lots of different messages for me that come up around creative writing. First of all, part of this is talking about the importance of bringing thoughts and ideas out of your head or out of your heart and getting it onto paper. This can be in a creative way. So it could be, maybe you have a story to tell, maybe you're processing some emotions, or you're getting out some frustration, or you're creating space and distance in a relationship. All of these things really lend themselves to writing and to communication. It's also a wonderful way to create, to manifest, to bring forth the gratitude for the experiences that you're having in your life, the situations that you've created. Archangel Gabriel is all about communication and all about self-expression and bringing your energy forth into the world. So if you're having a difficult time speaking or expressing yourself, call on Archangel Gabriel, ask her for help and support. Often this card will come up for people when they know that there's something that they need to write about, and they're having a challenge or they're having a difficult time just getting it out. This is particularly true for people who also experience like writer's block or artistic block, because it happens in all sorts of different creative fields. So call on Archangel Gabriel, ask her for help and support. Given that we're at the beginning of the year, this could also be a call for you to start jotting down the things that you want to explore or to experience or to accomplish or to celebrate in 2024. So pick and choose what fits best for you, but lots of encouragement to make sure that you're getting it out of your head, out of your heart, and onto the paper. There's a really powerful connection with getting it out of yourself. So I encourage you to do that. If you chose clear quartz, this is interesting. The card that we have is Music for Manifesting. This is the Mermaids and Dolphins Oracle card deck. And the message here is to manifest rapidly. Think of your desire while you chant, hum, sing, or play music. So one of the things that music helps to do is it helps to lift our energy and vibration. It helps to move us from something that might feel kind of low and slow up into something high end and fast. And that's a wonderful place to create from. When you are feeling off and you're feeling icky, it can be really difficult to manifest. And as I'm saying that, I'm reminded that some people aren't completely aware of what the word manifest means. And one of my frustrations with the new agey kind of field and circle that I'm in is that we often use a kind of jargon, and it can actually be kind of alienating. So when I talk about manifesting, I'm talking about bringing circumstances, situations into life, into your experience. So like one of the easiest ones for me to talk about is romance. So maybe you're single, or maybe you're in a relationship that isn't feeling great and you're wanting to change that. Then you might manifest a change either in your partner, like you've got a new partner coming in, or hey, maybe you're getting rid of a partner, or maybe you're just improving existing circumstances so that they're even better. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about manifestation. And so the encouragement with this card is to make sure that you're raising your energy and vibration as you are manifesting and creating. Music is a wonderful way to do that. Incorporating laughter and joy into your life and then coming into manifestation in that place is also really helpful. And gratitude is huge. When you are already grateful for the experiences that you have in your life and you are working towards improving or adding on to what's already amazing, then that energy spills forth as well. When I do manifestation or affirmation work, what I'll do is I'll start with a statement about something that I'm already grateful for. So an experience that I'm already having that I'm already grateful for. And then I'll put in a positive statement. So as if I already have this thing or this circumstance, this situation, I'll put in my affirmation statement, what I'm wanting to create. And then I'll add something else below it that is something that's already true, that I'm already grateful for. Because part of the challenge when we manifest and create is ego. Ego will get in there and will say, well, hey, like that isn't true. You don't already have that. And there's probably a story behind it. And ego is going to tell you the story about why you don't have it and why you never will have it. So if you sandwich what you're trying to create with things that you are already grateful for, that already exist in your life, you automatically raise the energy and vibration of what you're trying to create. And it's kind of like, well, yeah, she is grateful for her friends and family. And then there's this other thing that she's wanting to do. And then, yeah, she's grateful for all of the people who have joined her tonight on Connection with Intention. Like, we can't say no to that. So it's kind of like ego pops in and it's like, well, I guess, there's nothing here that I can sink my little teeth into. So it's all good. So if you've chosen clear quartz, the message is to start manifesting and creating and to do so with gratitude. And then the last card is, what was it? Oh, it was smoky quartz. So if you chose smoky quartz, the deck that you're pulling from is the messages from your angels, and the card is Teresa. Teresa is a self-care card. She is talking about slowing down, taking time out. She says, time out. You have been busy, so busy, taking care of everyone else's needs, but now it's time to stop and take care of yourself. And this is a huge card. There are so many messages. There's so much information that's currently available to us about how important it is to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves in order to be able to continue to show up in our lives in the best way that we can. If we are responsible for other people, so possibly we have children and dependents, or we have family members or friends, or in our work, we take care of people, then self-care is incredibly important, because if you don't have anything to draw from, then there isn't anything that you can do. You continue to go into a spiral and a cycle, and it can come to a point where you don't have anything left to give. So if you have chosen smoky quartz, the message that's coming up for this evening is to take time out. Know that it's okay to say no, and take a look at the ways that you receive rest and rejuvenation. There are lots of different self-care techniques that we can use, but making sure that you're doing things that support you. If you're in this place, I would encourage you to get back to basics. For me, getting back to basics is food and nutrition, making sure that I'm eating and that I'm eating well, exercise and fresh air. So getting outside, being physically active, getting on top of sleep, getting on top of chores, and just making sure that I'm taking time for myself. And it can also be encouragement to make sure that you're saying no. So this is one of the wonderful ways that you can check in with your intuition and have your intuition help to guide you, is by asking, is it appropriate for me to take this on now? And if the message is no, then find a way to not take it on. Awesome. So those are our questions for this evening. I'm going to take this little banner down. You guys are welcome to start asking your questions. I just ask that you be specific. So the questions that I'll take this evening, you can ask about love, romance, relationships, family, friendships. You can ask about work, career, finances, spiritual path, spirituality, anything about angels and Reiki and energy. But I am not taking any mediumship questions for this evening. So we won't be connecting with deceased loved ones tonight. Awesome. Okay, let's go back to our comments. Let me see, JC, if you want to ask that again, that would be awesome. Catherine, I'm glad it feels so good. Becky, big love to you. Okay, so we've got Cassandra here with our first question. Thanks, Cassandra. What can I expect this year for my career? I'm happy where I'm at with the company, but I find myself dreaming of a different position. Yeah, you know what? I feel really good about where you are with your work right now too, but it feels like there's opportunity for some growth. And the sense that I've got two different openings that are kind of popping up. There's something that's coming through kind of March, April of 2024. And then there's something else that's coming up kind of September, October. There's not an awful lot of shift and change that's happening in July, August, which, often is true when people have a lot of vacations and stuff. There's typically not a huge amount of change. So I've got a spring option and something that feels like it's fall, and it could be the same thing. So it feels like there's the potential for a bit of growth and shifting happening within the company that you're working for, the organization that you're in, and either there's a bit of a shift in the organization, so like the structure of how things are operating, and it's kind of like everybody has their own job now with all of the different things that they do. And I feel like I'm taking some things from this person and some things from this person, and I'm creating like a whole new position. And maybe I'm adding a couple of new things into it. So that's kind of what I'm seeing, is that there's opportunity that's coming up as a result of the potential for a bit of restructuring and possibly some fine tuning. So to me, this indicates that likely there's some company growth that's happening, which feels really exciting because you'll benefit from that. There are definitely opportunities available to you outside of the company structure and organization. They feel like they could be okay. So, I mean, like when and if they present themselves, give it a bit of time and see what comes up. Oh, and particularly if there's something that is connected to self-employment, because I'm seeing something a little bit on the side. And actually, that's where I'm kind of wanting to put more energy, especially as we move into the later part of 2024. So there are some shifts that are happening kind of within your work structure, but also there's something that's happening outside of your work structure that's helping to open things up on a completely different level for you. So yeah, things are feeling good with career for you in 2024. Let's see. So I've got the mermaids and dolphins cards, and explore your options is the message that's coming up. It's time to look at other possibilities, and it's a good time to make changes. So, we did talk about opportunities that could be coming up in the existing position. And then we talked about some opportunities that are outside of that too, in terms of self-employment. So I think that we're kind of spot on with the card that popped up for you this evening. You're really good with where you are, but there are definitely some more options that are worthwhile exploring. And you can say, hey, like I'm really happy with where I am, and things are going the way that I want them to go, and that's good. So even though this other thing came up for me, I don't have to take it. Cassandra, it's always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and prosperity your way. Awesome. Tatiana, is so good to see you. Okay, so Tatiana is saying housing. I'm renting a room in my friend's house, but his girlfriend apparently doesn't like me. Oh, she has faked my fates, invites me, hugs me, calls me honey, etc. Behind my back, calls me crazy, a squatter. I pay, but not a lot. Am I about to be thrown out? Landlord friend says we need to talk. When I moved in, they were going to Airbnb. And then another roommate moved in and they never followed through. Now it seems like I'm taking the hit. Okay, so it looks like there's more that you've written, but I'm not seeing anything more than that. So let's just ask about your housing situation. I mean, the energy doesn't feel that great just based on kind of what you've said. The sense that I have is that you do still have a little bit of time there before there's a change. And I'm actually seeing you being the one who's taking the initiative to make the change, because it feels like it's kind of time to do that. When I take a look, I do have, that's a little bit longer than I was hoping for. I do have something coming up the beginning of March. So do want to encourage you to start taking a look at different options. I'm seeing something that feels like you are in a home, that there are other people who are connected to it, but the area that you're in feels like it's off to the side. So kind of like a grandmother suite or an in-law suite, I think it's called, where you've got like a bedroom, and there's probably some sort of like sitting room area that's separate, that's yours, and then possibly shared kitchen and shared laundry. It feels like it could be potentially a little bit more than what you're paying now, but the fact that you have your own space feels like it's helpful. And yeah, so anyway, it does feel like there is a change that is available to you. As I said, it's a little further off than I was hoping. I was really hoping for something within the next couple of weeks, but this feels like this is coming up for the beginning of March, the end of February, beginning of March. So we're the middle of January now. That's kind of giving us about a 6-week time frame, give or take. And it feels like you're able to just kind of let the old space go. So be aware that there are some interesting dynamics in the household that you're in, and do what you can to let go of the negativity, the potential negativity that's around you. Being outside, grounding, that all feels really positive. And I, as much as possible, don't take to heart what's coming towards you from the wife, because it feels like it's her stuff, and that it's not going to be something you're going to need to deal with long term. So just keep breathing and keep grounding. We're going to go to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and I'm just going to ask, oh, sorry. Yeah, we will. I just heard to pull one from the green deck too, so we'll do that as well. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know if you joined us for the Choose Your Adventure crystal reading there, but the card that came up for Malachite, the creative writing card, is the first card that popped out for you. So I'll be really quick with this one because we've already gone over it, but make sure that you're writing out what you're wanting to create in your new home and your new space. Anytime you're manifesting something like that, in addition to manifesting like your budget and possibly what you want it to kind of look like, in addition to that, also, how does it feel? How does it feel to be in your space? How does it feel to wake up first thing in the morning to get started with your day? How does it feel like when you come home at the end of a day and you're able to decompress? Make sure you put the feeling and the energy of what you're wanting to experience. And, with this one too, I'm seeing like connecting with God, Source, Universe, like, please help to guide and direct me to where I will thrive. That's it. Where will I thrive? And the second card that we were guided to pull is the Astara card. You deserve the best. Reach for the stars with your dreams and desires, and don't compromise. So again, to me, this says that we've got new opportunity that's coming up for you in your housing situation, and it feels like it improves a lot of things too. The very last thing that I'm seeing for you, Tatiana, is that this could be outside of the geographical location that you're currently in. It still feels like it's accessible to work and to social and to family and whatnot, but that it could be in a slightly different area in the area that you're in. It is always such a pleasure connecting with you, Tatiana. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. I'm so grateful that you hopped on this evening. Awesome. Brienne, let's take a look. So Brienne's asking about romance or money. I've got money and finances popping up for you. So let's take a look there. So I've got 1, 2, 3. So the first 3 months of this year, January, February, March, feels like things are kind of staying as they are. So that's a really positive thing. It means that money is continuing to come into your home at the level that you expect it to come in. There aren't any major expenses. So like your car's not breaking down and the roof's not falling in. So that's really good. Things are staying kind of status quo. As we move into April, May, and June, it feels like there's something that you've been putting some energy into that's starting to come back to you. So this could be something that you are, maybe you've been focusing on, maybe getting a raise or decreasing some of your expenses, or that there's a side project or a side hustle that you've been working on that's starting to get up and running. But there's something that's shifting that's bringing some more money into your household April, May, June of this year, and that just continues to kind of grow as we move through July and August. Things kind of balance out and stabilize out as we come into September, but then moving into October, November, I'm seeing like a big whoosh, an influx of money that's coming in, and this feels like this has to do with a change that you are making to your work situation. So either there's some sort of negotiation that's going on where you're like, well, I'm doing this, and this, and you're only paying me for this and this, and I really need to be paid for the rest of this, for everything else that I'm doing and contributing. So it could be a negotiation like that. It could be a negotiation into like a new position where you're earning more money, or you could be finding something else altogether. But it feels like this is being realized October, November. So that doesn't mean that that's when you're starting to put these plans into place, I'd encourage you to start looking kind of August, September, because it's going to take a little bit of time. But finances overall feel like they're increasing as we move through the year. Also in July, August, I want to encourage you to have a budget that you are working with, because it feels like there's the potential for extra money to go out during the summer months, which I mean makes a lot of sense. It tends to be a time when we do spend more money. And I'm seeing you being really clear about what your budget is during this summer. So making sure that you're taking time for that. Let's take a look and let's ask about money and finances for you, Brianne. Where are we? We have the Blessed Change card coming up, and I love this. And this is such a good accompaniment to the question and the answer that you've received. So first of all, the Blessed Change card says, a major life change brings you great blessings. I feel like this is probably something that's happening a little later in the year. That kind of makes sense with the messages that were coming up. But do be open to things happening earlier. That would be awesome. One of the things that I love about this card is in this card, we have this mermaid, and she is kind of topsy-turvy, upside down. But if you look closer at her face, I don't know if you can see it too well with my lighting. Even though everything is upside down, she is happy. She's content. She is not in the least bit worried about what's going on. And this reminds me of organizing a room. Things get so much messier before you're able to organize them and clean them up. And that often happens when we have big changes happening in our lives. Something comes up, it makes things really kind of messy, feels kind of a little bit chaotic. But if we stayed in that regular, rigid routine, then the change wouldn't happen. And so things get all shaken up and then they balance out again. So if things start to feel a little bit chaotic, then just keep breathing and say, hey, like, this is chaotic temporarily. It is always temporary. And it's because it's helping to bring things back into an even better organization, a better situation, or better circumstances than what I had before. So keep breathing. But overall, things are feeling pretty steady and consistent. There's growth, as we said, that's popping up in the spring of this year. And then there's additional growth as we move later into 2024 as well. And Brianne, I'm so grateful that you joined us this evening. Thank you for popping on. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Catherine, it's so good to see you. Oh, okay. So Catherine's asking, please tell me how our kitty Mika is. Who is she with? Where do you see her? Now this is interesting because I'm still seeing Mika being outside. But she is showing me that there's somebody who she's been able to find food. She's been able to get food. I feel like I've shared this with you before. You know, those great big, huge electrical boxes that when we were kids back in the 80s and 90s, sometimes we would hop on, even though they had the high voltage sites on them. I'm seeing her being close to one of those because it feels like she's been able to get some sort of refuge there. It also feels like it's an area that has some bushes pretty close by. I know, Catherine, that you are in the Comox Valley, and I'm kind of seeing her over in East Courtney area. I'm not sure exactly where you are, but it feels like she's made her way over. Oh no, I do know where you are. That would be a really long distance for her to get there. But yeah, I'm seeing her over in the East Courtney area. I don't have somebody in particular who's showing me that they have her, but I do see that she feels like she's safe. She does feel like she's outdoors, but it kind of reminds me when I was younger, we had a stray cat that adopted us. She was pregnant. She had several litters. And my brother built her this little outdoor house with like scrap wood that we had around. And we always made sure that we had blankets for her. And we did end up feeding her because she was pregnant and she just kept coming back to the house. And so not that I'm seeing Mika being pregnant, but I'm wondering if it's something that's similar. Like, it really does feel like somebody who is doing the best that they can for her. I don't feel them having taken her into their home, so she still feels like she's out. Let's go to the cards. Where are we going? We're going to go to the the messages from your angels and just ask, what do we need to know about Mika? I do still see her being around. She is still alive. And we've got the Merlina card coming up. This is an interesting one to come up for me for this question. You are confused and indecisive because you do not have enough information. Well, that feels like that's true. Do research or seek expert advice before making a decision. So one of the things that I would encourage you to do is to get in touch with like Kitty Cat Pals, the SPCA, and cats, and just to see if they have some information on how you might be able to locate Mika. I know at least one of those services and agencies does go out and catches cats that have been released. I know that isn't the situation here, but that are out because it's entirely possible that they're aware of where she is. I think that's the best way to put it, because I don't see her being with them, but it does feel like they might have some more information for you. And the fact that you're putting the energy out to find her, should they come across her, that they would definitely bring her back to you. Catherine, I'm so sorry that Mika isn't home yet. I'm thinking about you and your family and sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And we'll call on Archangel Ariel and ask her to, one, keep Mika safe, and two, to help bring her home, because she herself often comes through as a lion, which is a big cat, but also is wonderful with animals and helping to bring them back to where they need to be. I'm so grateful you joined us. I'm sending big hugs and lots of love your way. Thanks, Catherine. Okay, Divya, it's so good to see you. Divya is asking, do you see me achieving a job future in my passion soon, and financial and or a move out of the country? Okay, let's take a look and see. I do have job and work coming up for you, but it feels like you're jumping some hoops in order for this to come together and for this to happen. There is part of me that's wondering if the move comes first. So let me just see. And or a move out of the country. See, the interesting thing is, on the one hand, having some experience before you make a move feels like that's helpful, but doesn't feel like it's completely necessary in order for you to find work in a new country, in a new place, in a new location. So that says to me that likely you're going to an area where there is some need for the service that you are providing, for the work that you are doing, where it's like, well, we'll train you up to what you need. So I do see that there is both a work change and a move out of country. I'm just asking when this is happening. It feels like it's going to take some time. So it's not happening spring of this year. I get a bit of a flip-flop as we move into the summer and the fall. This feels like this might be more travel. So making sure that you're taking any opportunity that you have to travel to the place that you want to move to. This helps to lay your roots, your foundation, helps you to start networking with people who are there, making those connections. That feels like that's really helpful. And it doesn't feel like the move's happening in 2024. There is an opening and a possibility in 2025, or possibly a little bit later. So like this is definitely a long-term thing. This doesn't feel like it's happening right away, but I do definitely see that you have travel coming up, and that feels like that's this year in 2024. And that if you aren't moving in 2025, that there's travel that's happening in 2025 as well. And it's all part of how you're preparing. This could be opportunity for you to do some training while you are still here, so that you have some of the resources that you would need in order to be able to make that change, to make that move, and to find the position that you want to find. We're going to go to the mermaids and dolphins, and we're just going to ask, what does Divya need to know about her passion career? I think that's the best way to put it, because passion career, once that falls into place, everything else does too. Divya. The card that we have here is the Mother Healing card. This is the mermaids and dolphins. As your feelings towards your mother heal, your desires manifest more rapidly and accurately. So, I mean, I believe that this is a really strong message from your mom, letting you know that she's around and also asking her for help in improving the situation that you're in, help with accessing the courses and the programs that you might need in order to come into your passion job and your passion career, and also helping with move and relocation as well. This is such a beautiful support card, and like it's the only card that has any sort of mother message in all three of the decks that I have. So we're talking over 120 cards. That was the one that came up. So just know that she's close by and she's sending lots of love to you. Divya, it's always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, lots of abundance and manifestation energy too. Awesome. Linda, hello. It's so good to see you. Can you tell me the name of one of my spirit guides? So this one's kind of a tricky one for me. And I'll tell you why. I do want to encourage you to maybe ask me another question, and I'll take a look for it after I've done a couple more readings. And I don't do a lot. First of all, I don't do a lot with spirit guides. But secondly, if people ask me names for angels or for their spirit guides, I don't go there because there is so much power in each individual person making that connection with their guides themselves that I kind of feel like I'm taking something away in doing that and in offering that. So in lieu of that, I will offer you an exercise that can help you to connect with your spirit guide so that you're able to ask their name. And it's really, really simple. What I'd encourage you to do is come into a space where you are feeling quiet and calm, where you're open and where you aren't reaching. This tends to be one of the challenges that a lot of people go through when they are opening up their intuition. They're working towards receiving messages and information, is we like start grabbing and grasping. But if we are open and if we are quiet and if we are ready, I shouldn't say ready, if we are willing to trust what we get, then it will just be given to us. And so once you're in a space where you're feeling comfortable, and this can be a different space, it could be like maybe you have a special place in the forest or at the water or in your backyard or in your home, wherever you are most comfortable, where you're able to ground yourself. Invite your spirit guides in and say, I would really like to connect with you. Help me to feel you, help me to experience you, help me to see you, help me to know your messages or to hear your messages. And what should I call you? And in most cases, a name is something that's kind of arbitrary and usually is more for us than it is for them. So whatever you want to call your guide, they're more than happy with. At the same time, you can absolutely ask, and you can try it out, and so maybe a name will pop through. I'm hearing Seraphina. Maybe Seraphina pops through, and you can say, I'm feeling Seraphina. Is this right? And then you can wait, and you'll receive a message that feels like yes, or that feels like no. And it's different for each person how that comes through. For me, with an exercise like this, my energy will feel light and it will feel buoyant and it will feel good. It's like, yes, maybe there's a feeling of relaxation that comes as well. But if it's no, then my stomach kind of clenches and my energy kind of feels tight and it just feels off. And then so I'd wait again. What other name could it be? And just see what pops in for you. Usually the first time, as soon as you get it, it's right. Or it could be that you have to tweak it a little bit and you'll be able to tell that. But it's a wonderful way for you to connect with your own guide rather than having me come through and offer a name to you. So give that a try. And Linda, I will take a look in a couple of questions to see if you've asked another question, because that only feels fair. But I'm glad that you asked, because I suspect that the information that came up about that will not only help you, but other people too. So thank you. Okay, we've got Becky here. Hi, Becky. Thanks for joining us. I'd love to know if we should focus on a breathwork counseling retreat here on Lombok, or focus more on teaching. Ooh, that feels good. I mean, like, I want to say both, but let me see. Breathwork counseling or teaching. I'm leaning into breathwork counseling. Actually, no, all three of those things together. It feels like there is benefit for both the breathwork counseling, but there's also some teaching that's coming up too. And the more that I talk about that, the more that I'm wondering if you're talking about teaching like a completely different subject, like teaching like a school as opposed to breathwork and counseling. So I'm going to keep that in mind because I am seeing teaching coming up as part of the breathwork and the breathwork and counseling. It is. If you can't do both, just do that. That's where the that's where the energy is coming in. Teaching is coming up a little bit later, but there's also some teaching that's coming up in the counseling, the breath work that you're doing. It feels like you're helping to give people resources so that they're able to continue the work that you start with them. So actually, I would encourage you to have exercises for people that they can take away from the retreat that you're doing. And it feels to me like you've got many people who are coming to join you. I want to say rather that I'm hearing that you've got a full class, and I don't know like what a full class size would be for something like that, but I'm seeing something anywhere from 8 to 20 people is what I have coming up. So that feels really exciting too. Let's take a look. We're going to go to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we're just going to know what does Becky need to focus on. We're going to go with the breath work and counseling. What does she need to focus on in order to bring that to fruition? Oh, okay. So we've got the Clear Your Space card coming up. This is interesting. This is Archangel Jophiel, and her message is get rid of clutter, clear the energy around you, and use Feng Shui. So I happen to know that Becky is traveling right now, so I can't imagine that you'd have a huge amount of clutter in the space that you're in. But what I would say is when you are working on creating this and bringing this to fruition, do this outside of the living space that you are staying in. So go into a place that feels really natural, that feels really comfortable, if that's available to you. Alternatively, go to the space where you'll be offering the retreat that's coming up, because it feels like that helps to bring the energy into that space, and potentially that's part of where the clearing is coming up. That you're bringing the energy of the space that you're going to be working in into the energy and the intention that you have for the retreat that you're creating. Archangel Jophiel is also about beautifying and seeing joy in the experience that you're currently in. So I'd also encourage you to do that as well. Focus on the joy of the experience that you're in, the joy that you're creating with the people who are there with you, and whatever it is that you guys are building together, moving into that place of joy, seeing the beauty in what is. And I'm also hearing, like, as you're going over, or if you're going over any like bumps, seeing the joy in each of those bumps, because that's bringing to the forefront what needs to be cleared, what needs to be honored and recognized. I'm so incredibly excited for the retreat that you guys are going to be offering, and I'm really grateful that you hopped on this evening, Becky. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, lots of manifestation energy for your retreat as well. Thanks for joining us. Awesome, JC. It's so good to see you. How is your son? He's good. He's showing me that he is really good. I have a little bit of something that's coming up in his chest, but he's showing me that he's staying warm, and that he has what he needs. It feels like he could use a drop off of supplies. If that's something that is available to you, supplies feels like that would be helpful for him over the next little while. But that if it's not, that he's going to be okay. And he's showing me that he's leaving things for you guys to find. That he's finding things as well. February is coming up as a significant month, and it feels like there's some form of connection that's happening at that time. So if you are able to get over to the island, do, because it feels like there's an opening. And I hope that there's opportunity for some healing as well, because he's starting to feel more comfortable. He's starting to feel more grounded in the physical and the present reality. Let's take a look and see what messages are coming up with him. Oh, he's got so much, there is so much support that's coming up for him, support in loved ones who are here, but I'm also seeing support in loved ones on the other side, keeping an eye for him. And I'm wanting to encourage music and song, if that's something that's possible for him too. So the card that we have here, this is Archangel Jeremiel, and his message is overcoming difficulties. The worst is now behind you, and you are surmounting any previous challenges. And, I see this card actually being applicable to both of you, applicable to you and applicable to your son. This one feels like this is confirmation of him having done a huge amount of healing, of peace starting to come into his soul and into his experience. And for you, overcoming difficulties, because it feels like we're coming to the top of the mountain and we're on our way down the other side. When this card comes up, it signifies that we're coming into a time and a place of peace, where things aren't feeling as challenged, where we are able to take pressure off of our chest, off of our shoulders, off of our plates, and we are able to breathe again. When going through this kind of difficulty, often we hold our breath and we grieve, and there's so much that comes up, and we push through. When we hit this point where we are overcoming and we're headed on the other side, that's again where there's opportunity and opening for peace. So JC, it does feel like he is well. And I'm praying with you for change and for peace, and am seeing opportunity for movement and shift that's coming through February of 2024. It is always so good to connect with you and to see you. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Okay, I'm just going to take a really quick look here. Oh, you guys, I'm sorry. We have a spammer here. I'm just seeing them now. My apologies. It looks like this person has hit everyone. Let me see. There we go. Okay. All right. So I just saw your other question, Linda. I'm so sorry. We're not doing mediumship readings this evening. I am so sorry, my friend. But give me another question and I'll take a look for it. Another couple questions. Melissa, it's so good to see you. Melissa's asking, what should I make sure Ruby and I do? In Vancouver next week. That's exciting. So I'm seeing lots of play, lots of running. So if there are some parks or adventure playgrounds that you're able to hit up, that feels really helpful. But Science World popped up really strongly for me, for you. So I do want to encourage you to check out Science World if you can. And I'm also seeing walking around. I wonder if this is Gastown. I bet it is Gastown. Walking around in kind of the I don't even know how to describe it, but Gastown. Up Gastown. And I'm seeing going to the beach, potentially hitting Stanley Park. So yeah, it feels like there are a lot of things that are kind of on your list, but those are the three that are, or four, I guess, that are popping up most strongly for me. Some sort of park, adventure playground. I'm seeing Science World, Gastown, and Stanley Park, and or the beach. I guess that's kind of 5 things. But yeah, lots of opportunities for you guys to explore and to experience new things. We're going to go to the messages from your angels and just ask, what do Melissa and Ruby need to know about their trip to Vancouver next week? Patience. I mean, there's a lot on the go. I can certainly see how patience comes to the forefront. Now is the time to learn, study, and gather information. Enjoy being a student, because in the future, you will synthesize your knowledge into action. I mean, to me, this actually feels like this is more of a message for you, and not necessarily patience, but more to enjoy whatever experience the two of you are in, an encouragement to be present in that. So even if things aren't working out perfectly or beautifully, allow yourself to be in that experience with Ruby, to see the world through her eyes and to enjoy the experience for what it is, because I can guarantee you that she isn't going to remember any of the challenges or any of the difficulties that you've gone through, but she's definitely going to remember how present you are, and the fun that you have. So allow yourself to enjoy the experience, because they're only little for so long. Melissa, it's always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you for joining me. And I hope that you guys have an awesome time in Vancouver next week. And I hope that you'll share some pictures when you come back too. Awesome. Oh, say we've got Carrie here. Will my friend Kay visit regularly? Okay, let's take a look and see what we've got coming up. Kind of regularly. I mean, that all depends. That's such a tricky one to kind of pinpoint. Like, is regularly on a weekly basis, or is regularly monthly, or is regularly every couple of months? So what I'm going to say is that it feels like you've got something that's set up. First of all, you and your friend Kay feel like there's a certain amount of distance between the two of you. So weekly doesn't feel like it's really realistic, and bi-weekly even feels like it might not be particularly realistic. But looking at something that looks like every month or every couple of months, then yeah, I do have some regular visits that feel like they're happening. It feels like when you make plans, that plans are being kept, so that it could be in part a matter of making plans. The first couple of times feels like your friend is the one who's taking the initiative, but then I'm seeing you being able to bounce back and forth to create mutual initiatives. So part of this might look like, oh, hey, there's this really interesting thing that's happening the May long weekend. It would be awesome if you could come out for that. You just, come and arrive, and I'll have things planned for the time that you're here. Or it could be that, oh yeah, we've got a special event that's happening. How does it feel for you to come out and to join us for that? So, the first time or two, it feels like, part of the initiative is coming on Kate, your friend Kay's part, but that the rest of it is something that you guys are able to decide together. Yeah, so it does feel like there is a building that's happening. As I said, like monthly or every couple of months kind of feels like that's the regularity that we're seeing. I don't think we're going 3 months. So yeah, every 1 to 2 months, it feels like that's a pretty realistic timeline and time frame at this point, and that things can certainly shift in the future. Okay, we're going to ask, what does Carrie need to know about her friend Kay? Ooh, we've got this one here. Ooh, we've got Archangel Zadkiel with the teaching and learning card. Keep an open mind and learn new ideas, then teach these ideas to others. And I know Carrie, so I know that she's already kind of in the beginning and the middle of this. So I see this as being encouragement to continue to learn, and to continue to share, to be open to new ideas and to new experiences. But yeah, to keep going and to keep learning. It is always a pleasure connecting with you, Carrie. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Okay, so we've got Linda here. Hi, Linda. I'm so sorry, we don't do that one either. So what I'm going to do is... what are we looking at for Linda? Okay, so actually I'm hearing health popping up for you. What do we have coming up? First of all, when I tap into health, overall things are feeling pretty healthy, but I'm wanting to encourage you to keep an eye on the improvements that have been popping into your mind. So improvements can be a lot of different things. It can be making a change in your diet. It can be making a change to like your sleep. It can be making a change or an adjustment to your stress levels, or to popping into counseling, anything kind of along those lines. It feels like there's something that you've been thinking about in the back of your mind, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that when I have time, when I'm going to get to it. And the other thing that I have coming up is I'm wanting to pay attention to your torso. So I mean, like, this is where a lot of our organs are, and I'm really wanting to encourage you to do some twists. And if you were a yogini person, you would say that, or I would say, I guess, if I was a yogini person, I would say that when you do twists, what you do is you wring out all of the blood and everything out of your organs, and it allows for fresh and new to come in. And I'm seeing that as being a big part of the reason that we want to do some twists. And this is like, if you take a dishcloth, like when you do twists, it's kind of like wringing out all of the water from it. So I do want to encourage you to do some twisting movements. I'm not an appropriate person to ask to guide you through them, but some of the ones that I'm seeing would be lying on your back and then like bringing a knee over to the other side. That would be a twist. Or you could do the one where you sit up and then look to the other side like this. and similar, but I do want to encourage you to do some twists because it feels like that is making a difference to your overall health and well-being. I'm going to choose a card for you just to see what messages are coming up for you, Linda. We've got the yellow Archangel Oracle card deck. And this is really interesting. The card that's come up for you is Archangel Raziel with clairvoyance. I am helping your spiritual sight to awaken fully so you can clearly see heavenly love. Clairvoyance is also one of the 4 primary ways that we receive intuitive messages and information. So be aware of that. I noticed one of your questions that you had was about connecting with a puppy, and I believe on the other side. So when we're wanting to make connections, and particularly with this card coming up, it's saying pay attention to the things that you're seeing. As somebody who isn't primarily clairvoyant, like clairsentient, so thoughts and ideas, and clairsentience, clear feeling, are my primary. And so when I get visual cues, it's kind of like seeing an image that's kind of a little bit blurry, or something will just quickly pop into my head. Sometimes people will see things that are outside of themselves. So they might catch something out of the corner of their eye, or see something that has significance to you. So for example, maybe you're thinking about someone or something, and then you look outside and there's a rainbow. You're not expecting a rainbow, and then boom, there it is. That's something you had absolutely no control over, and is as a visual confirmation of a message that your loved one is with you, or that is the message that they had for you, or that they're just thinking about you too. So pay attention to those visual cues that are popping up for you. It is always such a pleasure connecting with you, Linda. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Okay, let me see. I kind of got mixed up. We've got Kathy here. Hi, Kathy. Thanks for joining us. Kathy's asking if there are any career changes coming up for her. I want to say yes, but I'm seeing things kind of maintaining status quo and staying pretty steady Eddie. So the question that I would actually have for you is this something that you want, and is it something that you're ready for? Because when I tap into work and career, things are feeling pretty steady. They're not always feeling great, but it is feeling steady, stable, and consistent. And I'm feeling a little bit of uncertainty around making a change. So before kind of looking for other options, do some work and ask, are you ready for a change? And what is it that you're wanting to experience in a new position? I'm hearing a lot that's coming up around stability. And so stability can mean a lot of different things. Often when we're talking about stability, it has to do with financial stability. So making sure that we're earning enough money to cover our bills and whatever else we want to make sure that we cover. That's one aspect of stability. But the other aspect that's popping up really strongly feels like it has to do with stability in like knowing that you're going to have a long-term job for kind of as long as you want and need it. And two, stability in the workplace, in that, like, you know what you're getting into when you go in at the beginning of the day, and you know what you're coming out of at the end of the day. So not feeling like you're walking on eggshells. And then the other aspect of stability feels like it has to do with scheduling, that you have a regular and a consistent schedule, because it feels like many of these things are things that are currently present in your current position. And so that could be part of what I'm feeling coming up around, are you ready for a change? Because there's a lot of uncertainty or a lot of concern about what that next position might look like. And so what I'd encourage you to also do is do a little bit of manifestation work. So write down the things that you're excited about in the new position. And I would go through all of those things that we said, like money being one, a healthy, stable work environment, consistency and longevity, like a consistent schedule that works for you and for your energy, and anything else that is important to you. Being respected in your workplace, just anything that's important, because I'm feeling a lot of hesitation that's coming up in making that change. Even though there's a lot of you that is ready for change, there's still this part that feels afraid. So start addressing that. And then when you go to look at new positions, new jobs, or even a new position in the current structure that you're working in, you're able to say, hey, these are the things that I need in order to make this shift and change, and make sure that becomes part of the negotiation. I mean, some parts of it won't be possible. Like, you won't be able to say, well, I'll only come and work here if you give me a good work environment, or you make sure there aren't any angry people. Like, that's a tricky one to do. But make sure that you've got your non-negotiables sorted out before you go in. Let's take a look. We're going to go to the mermaids and dolphins, and we're just going to ask about career changes coming up for Kathy. And watch your thoughts. This is interesting, because this is actually a really good way to put what I was talking about. It's important to only think about what you desire and not what you fear. And I did disagree with that a little bit. I think that it's really important to honor and recognize the fact that there are fears that are present. Just kind of burying them under the dirt and hoping that they don't grow through everything that you've piled up on them is kind of a dated way of looking at things. I would say recognize the fact that there is a fear here, and then come up with, okay, this fear isn't actually relevant because X, Y, and Z, and talk yourself through it. Or this fear is coming up because of a previous experience that I had, and I know that I'm a different person now, so I know that I'm not going to invite that back in. And so this fear, while present, isn't really relevant. And allow yourself to go through that. So don't hide from the fears and don't push them away. Honor them, acknowledge them, work through them, and then focus on positive thoughts moving forward. Kathy, it's always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and lots of career shifting energy your way. Hi, Sarah. We've got Sarah here. Thanks for joining us. Let me see. Are my guides and angels sending me a message? I keep hearing super high-pitched sounds when really incredible spiritual conversations are happening. Absolutely. So part of what you're describing, that high-pitched sound, is a form of clairaudience. And it's one of the ways that our angels, our guides, God, source, universe, whatever your belief system is, that's part of the way that they get our attention. And it can be part of how they're introducing clairaudient messages. So clairaudience meaning clear hearing, where we do get auditory messages. So the ringing in the ears and the high-pitched sound, absolutely. And particularly since you've connected that to spiritual conversations, either that you're having or that are happening around you. So there's something in those conversations that they're trying to like highlight or underscore for you. Sometimes that really high-pitched sound will come in to get your attention. So it could be a lot of different things. It could be that you are in a negative self-talk place and they're coming in. It's like, hey, stop that. Yeah. And so that's one of the ways that that high pitched sound can work. It can work as we've just talked about, like kind of highlighting and underscored. It's like, hey, pay attention to what's being talked about here. It can be encouragement to focus on more of what you're thinking about. So maybe you've been thinking about making some sort of change, and you get the high pitch in your ears, and then you can ask, okay, does this change feel like a good change? Does this feel like this is something that's positive? And you can open up that dialogue and that connection. Eventually, this high ringing can start to shift into other things. One of the ways that I get a lot of clairaudient messages, and I get a kick out of it because for me it's fun, is I'll get song lyrics in my head, and they'll just kind of pop in, or something. If you've been around and you've caught Bobby and I talking together, she introduced me to this idea of going to my Spotify list, excuse me, and starting off by asking, what do I need to know today? And then putting my Spotify list on shuffle and just trusting that whatever comes up is what I need to hear. The very first time I did it, the song that came on was 99 Problems and a Bitch Ain't One. And I'm like, on the one hand, very true, but on the other hand, not super relevant. So do be careful if you're going to do that, and maybe don't use hip hop as the as the Spotify list that you're choosing from. But yeah, that's absolutely a form of clairaudience. Your guides and your angels are trying to get your attention, so pay attention to what's coming up. You're definitely on the right track with that, Sarah, and that is incredibly exciting. There's part of me that wonders if we're going to get the clairaudience card when we shuffle here. So we're going to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we're just going to ask, what does Sarah need to know about the clairaudient experiences that she's having? No, it wasn't the clairaudience card, but that's okay. This is equally awesome. This is the Moon Cycles card. This is Archangel Haniel, excuse me. Notice how the moon affects your energy and manifestations, and capitalize upon these cycles. I know that we've talked about it lots on the shows, but just in case, the full moon is a time of releasing. So the time a couple of days before, during, and a couple of days after, it's a wonderful time to release what no longer serves you, to acknowledge what you've gone through over the last lunar cycle, and what you're ready to let go of. It's also a really wonderful time to do physical purging as well. So, going through your space and getting rid of things that you don't need. So donating or repurposing or recycling or throwing away if you need to. And then the energy of the new moon is all about creation. It's a time of manifestation. It's a time of fresh starts and new beginnings. So we've gone through the purging and the releasing, and now we're in a place where we're able to start creating. The new moon also tends to be a time when we want to spend more time on our own, to be a little more introverted. And so if you are starting to follow the energy of the lunar cycles, and you do have some flexibility in your schedule, make sure that you're taking on less around the new moon, and make sure that you are not overcommitting yourself or overextending yourself, because it's really nice to be able to have time to withdraw, to come into yourself, and to connect with your intuition. Sarah, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. I'm so grateful that you hopped on this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Leanne, hi Leanne, thanks for joining us. Why am I having a difficult time making the conscious shift to change my life experiences? That's a really great question. Actually, that's a really great question. I'm so glad that you asked that. Let's take a look. Okay, well, part of it actually feels like it's physically stuck in your body. So to help to move that, if you have any sort of yoga or Pilates or exercise or dance that you do, and even if you don't, that's okay too. But what I would say is, if you're currently doing any of those things, then at the beginning of a session, take some time and say that everything that is currently being held in my body, that no longer serves me, that no longer supports me, I am using this time to get it out. And then any sort of movement that helps you move into places that are tight in your body. Make sure that you're breathing into those spaces. So for example, let's say that you were doing some yoga, and let's say that you were doing downward facing dog, and in the small of your back, your low back is an area where you hold a lot of stress. Then what I would say is like come back into that. And as you breathe into that, see and feel as that energy is dissipating. The same would be true if you're holding stuff in like your throat and your neck and in your chest, that you do like poses that allow you to lie open like this, to relax and to allow movement and to breathe into that. And so that can apply to any sort of physical activity that you're doing. If you aren't currently doing anything, but you're open to doing a little bit of dancing, make some space in your living room or wherever, put on some music that you like, and set the intention at the very beginning. I am allowing my body to move through whatever no longer serves me, whatever no longer supports me, and whatever I'm holding in my body. And allow yourself to move in any way you need to in order to open those spaces up. You might look kind of silly, but that's okay. We all look silly when we do this. And it's not only can it be a lot of fun and incredibly liberating, it's also a really wonderful way to start moving things through your body. So it does feel like that's part of what's happening for you. Let's just see what else we have coming up. It's interesting because like on a mental and an emotional level, I'm seeing you being really ready. What do we have? These are things that are popping up on a subconscious level. So like the physical activities that we talked about earlier will certainly help and support you moving through those. I'm seeing you also giving voice to whatever's underlying. So I haven't actually done this particular exercise in this way, but now that it's come up for you, I'm really intrigued about doing it. So I'm going to tell you the foundation of where it comes from. So sometimes when I'm dealing with something really heavy and I'm feeling really stuck in it and I'm feeling really lost and overwhelmed and usually incredibly emotional about it, what I'll do is I'll call on my angels and I'll say, hey, angels, this is what I'm going through. And I'll talk to them as if they are my best friend so that I can say absolutely anything that I want. I'm not worried about hurting anybody's feelings. I just want to get it out. And also I talk to them as if they're able to do something about the situation that I'm in. And I'm just going to put a pause here for a second. I've said angels because that's who I like to work with. But if you like to work with spirit guides or God, source, universe, or ascended masters, whatever, whoever works best for you, talk to them and say, hey, this is what's going on. I'm not moving forward. I'm really frustrated. I've tried X, Y, and Z and things aren't happening. And allow yourself to just go. So don't have any filter and allow yourself to tweak, because often what happens once we come into this space is we are able to start getting to the root of things that we didn't realize were there. And at the end of it, it feels incredibly cathartic. You can allow yourself to be as emotional as you would like, because I wouldn't be surprised if there's a certain amount of frustration that's there, because I see that you have been trying things. So yeah, I would talk to your angels or whoever, whatever you like to work with, and say, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. And I feel like I'm at a standstill. I don't understand why it's happening. I've been doing X, Y, and Z. I've been thinking about A, B, and C, and see what comes up for you. Because I suspect that there are 1, 2, 3 little things that are actually not directly related to you being able to move forward, but they feel like they've got a little bit of a hold. So if you do those 2 things, the movement, the physical movement, moving through the energy that feels like it's being held in your body, and then doing the talking with your peeps, it feels like things really start to move forward. And I do have a couple of weeks that are popping up for you. So I've kind of got like mid-February. And at that point, I want to say like, ready, set, go, hold on, because things really do feel like they're starting to move forward. And I'm seeing you moving into like a synchronistic flow where things are just kind of happening, just boom, 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 boom. So make sure that you're getting lots of sleep, lots of rest, and breathe. So let's see what else is coming up for you, Leanne. We're going to go to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we're just going to ask, what does Leanne need to know about making the conscious shift? You are safe. I love this. This is Archangel Michael. In his messages, I am protecting you against lower energies and guarding you, your loved ones, and your home. I mean, when Archangel Michael comes up, he's a huge helper. And actually, Archangel Michael also, like, one of his primary things he does with us and for us is helping us to stay, or helping us to get on our life path and working with life purpose. And so that could also be one of the other reasons that he's coming up, is he's saying, hey, like, call on me. It's time. I'm here. I'm ready. Like, let's get things on track for you so that you're in a place where things are feeling good. And the very last thing that I have popping up for you, there's some sort of repetitive pattern that you're going through. As soon as you recognize that you're going through it, then it feels like you're able to make a resolution to come back. And it's interesting because the way that they're showing me this is with an old rotary telephone. So if you think about starting at the 9 and going all the way around and then coming all the way back, it's like you start recognizing it after you've basically gone through the whole cycle, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm there. And then you go to the 8, and so you're like, okay, well, I missed the first couple of steps, or I didn't have to go through all of it. It does feel like you're changing some cycles and patterns, and you're becoming aware of the fact that you have the patterns, which is helping you to move on and move forward. I really hope that in all of that you were able to catch what was coming through for you, Leanne. I'm so incredibly grateful that you joined us this evening. It was a pleasure speaking with you. And I suspect that the messages that came up for you will be helpful for other people who are watching as well. And I always love it when things come up like that too. So thank you. Awesome. We have come to the end of our show this evening. I am so incredibly grateful that you've taken time out of your day to be here with me. I'm Erin Lee of heavenlymessenger.com. I currently have a promotion on until the end of January, where readings booked in the month of January and gift certificates, reading gift certificates that are purchased in the month of January are 20% off. You can get that only by booking online at bookingwitherin.com/gratitude. Let me just put that up here because I have that. There we go. If you head over to my website here, I know that I have a couple of openings for next week. This week is completely booked. I have some openings for next week, and I have a couple of openings for the following week as well. So if you were looking for a reading appointment and you're kind of sitting on the fence about it, now is a great time to do it. If you know that you're not ready now, but you want to do a reading in the future and you're able to, grab yourself a gift certificate. As I said, it's 20% off until the end of January. And the very last thing, I've had lots of people asking about courses and classes for the spring. Right now, I've booked levels 1, 2, and 3 for the Usui Reiki. You can find that on my website, bookingwitherin.com/class registration. If you just go to my bookingwitherin.com page, class registration is one of the options that are there. They're starting the beginning of April. So the beginning of April, the beginning of May, and I think the second weekend in June are the weeks that we have coming up for the Reiki classes. I'm super excited to share them with you. I've got one more intuitive development class that will be offered the last weekend in May. And I will be off for a couple of weeks in February as I build the online school with some courses and classes as well. So lots happening. My intention is to be with you again next week for Connection with Intention. It'll start at 7 or 7:30 Pacific time, which is 10 or 10:30 Eastern time. I am so grateful that you're here. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and happy 2024. I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.